funny question, I think, because I've heard, you can do this, that. What can you buy with crypto? Like if you today wanted to go buy something, right, worth of value, can crypto get you that? Can you use that as a
Well,
form of payment?
crypto actually can be used by anybody who will accept crypto as a payment, and that's where some people go down the conspiracy theory rabbit hole. But that's where the the um, the problem exists with current money versus crypto, and
Mm-hmm.
that's the reason why people have issues with it because you have anybody who will accept crypto as payment. Um, if I provide a service to you and I
Mm-hmm.
say you can pay me in crypto,
Mm-hmm.
literally it's just a matter of whether or not that person has access to getting that crypto and sending it to you. So anybody who wants to accept crypto for payment, they very much can. It's just a matter of as to whether or not they have the capability to receive it as payment.
Got it. Got it. And I've heard, I mean, I'm sure you have too, but I've heard people buying vehicles now and houses, I believe, too, kind of getting some people getting maybe a real estate company or two getting into the crypto space by taking it as form of payment. So that's pretty interesting.
Absolutely.
Now you already kind of mentioned the banks. What do banks and big financial institutions think of crypto today versus back in the 80s when it didn't work?
Um, Today, banks consider crypto, well, they're getting into it now
Mm.
more than what they were before. They're being allowed to custody it. As a matter of fact, Brian Brooks actually made that possible for banks to be able to custody crypto.
Who's Brian Brooks?
Brian Brooks was over the CFTC, and he the was the comptroller of the currency,
Mm-hmm.
and so he basically made laws to where the banks could actually custody crypto. And so crypto was, of course, a bad word at some point to the
Right.
banks,
Right.
but now that they're of course allowed to custody it, it's still in competition because right now banks are closing or they have a lot less traffic coming in because people are staying home,
Right.
because of the C word. And so
Yeah.
what happens is that's where they made their money through people coming in and can I offer you this on your account? Can I do this, that, or the other? Well, now you can put your crypto on a platform and borrow against it, and literally, I mean, you're not, and people may see this as right or wrong, but you don't pay taxes on a loan, and so you take that loan. And you go out and buy other assets, whether
Yeah.
it's crypto, whether it's a business, whether it's land. And so that's where the competition comes in with the banks
Mm.
because now you don't need the banks to go get a loan. If you have the asset, you borrow against it yourself. You pay back the loan when you want to, and then you're basically not needing the bank. You become your own bank.
Yeah, and I've heard that a lot now. So they're in a way they're still competitors, but they're also a little bit more accepting, right? Just because they're seeing the growth of crypto, perhaps, or.
Yes, I
Mhm.
believe what's going to end up happening is banks are going to basically allow you, if you have the asset, to do what the platforms are currently doing right now because they have to
Mm.
stay competitive.
Gotcha.
So they're
Yeah,
they're going to allow you
you
to
can't beat them, join them, right?
exactly. They're
Mm.
they're going to ask you if they can custody your crypto and then let you take out loans against your asset. But of course, the banks that's how they're going to earn their money as well.
Yeah. Now, talk to us a little bit about Ripple. Explain who Ripple is, and also explain a little bit about the lawsuit because there's the Securities Exchange Commission, the SEC,
Right.
sued Ripple, I think back in 2018, if I'm not mistaken, 2018. But talk to us a little bit about that and just break it down to us. What does that mean and why did it even happen really?
Well, the SEC sued Ripple. So let's start with Ripple. Ripple is a company, a fintech company out of Silicon Valley,
Mm-hmm.
and so uh, the company Ripple basically came in with the idea of we're either going to make a dent in the universe or we're going to go away.
Mm.
And so they wanted to make a better Bitcoin. They saw the tech of Bitcoin, they saw how slow it is, they saw how much it costs to use it, and they wanted to come up with something better. And so what they did was they actually provided the rails to be able to use a currency called XRP.
Mm-hmm.
And so XRP was already in existence, but they were gifted that. And what happened was is they came up with the better payment rails and went around to not just different companies but different countries
Mm.
and started setting up to where you can, use our system. And just so you know, we also have this asset called XRP, which makes transactions at the cost of fractions of a penny. Well, once, of course, the SEC had been watching them for years, Ripple was very transparent in what they were doing. They were meeting with the SEC, and the SEC, after at least 8 years, decided to go ahead and sue Ripple. And then, of course, the theory comes in where you have Bill Hemming and Jay Clayton, who basically Jay Clayton dropped the lawsuit literally days before he walked away from the SEC. Hemming gave a speech years back on Ethereum and how it was not a security. Well, what that did was that allowed Ethereum to prosper and to grow. It allowed other tokens and other companies to build their platforms on the Ethereum network, which the gas fees can be quite ridiculous using Ethereum. But it's believed that they used it to actually slow down the progress that Ripple was making by way of their software and in the using of XRP. And so both of those gentlemen, Jay Clayton and Mr. Hinton, actually took and went and left the SEC and worked for companies that are either directly affected or lined up directly with Ethereum, or in some roundabout way, Ethereum was the beneficiary of the efforts of them saying it was not a security.
Okay. And bring us to today, right? April of 22. Where are we with the lawsuit?
Well, the SEC has been able to prolong things, but the judges that are on the case are actually noticing a lot of that, and right now it's not looking good for the SEC at all. Their credibility is at stake right now, and there's other different people who have dug and found things and presented it actually to, even lawyers outside of Ripple that have drawn lawsuits filed lawsuits on behalf of XRP holders for losses and liquidation of their asset because of where they had it sitting and things like that. And it's the court case is looking good for Ripple. Yeah. Of course, we know we live in a very unique world where things can look good one moment and things can change. But as of right now, things look very good for Ripple.
Yeah. And why would you say there's still a lot of division, not only from a knowledge perspective, I would say, maybe that's not the right word, not division, but more lack of knowledge, I think, or interest from some people. But then there's also division, right? You have your side that says, well, I think crypto's the greatest thing ever. You should invest. And then you have the side that says, because I've seen it and I've heard them, I could call them the haters maybe, perhaps,
right.
that say, hey, yeah, you shouldn't invest in that. You should invest in other, more long-term and secure assets. For example, like in real estate. And by the way, if you want to, invest in real estate, awesome. We love real estate, but I think there's also a side of, like I said, haters, perhaps, where you call them that,
right.
where they're still very much against crypto. Why such division, even in a time like 2022, where you would think with technology and with, we just talked about, if you take it back to the early 80s, right? So it's not like a brand new subject, if you will, but it's definitely something that's gained a lot of traction. But there's still division.
Right.
Why do you think that is?
Well, I think you're dealing with different generations of people, when I was growing up, you went outside, you played, you either found trouble or trouble found you.
That's right.
And so you didn't have time to put on a pair of what do they call them, binocular,
the VR,
the VR, the virtual reality, and air punch yourself to death, and you didn't have time for that. You had other things to get into. Whereas now you have a generation who is the older generation was they like more of the relationship, sit down and talk. I want to know my lawyer. I want to know who he is. I want to know where they're from. I want to know their background. Whereas now everything's on a phone or in front of you, or you can get on a tablet or a computer and look it up.
FaceTime, Zoom call.
Right, exactly. And so you have different generations of people who you've got the, as we say, the old school, and then you've got the new school. You've got the old school who would rather shake your hand and look you in the eye and make a deal with you, whereas you have the younger generation who, they'll walk right by you, they'll bump, into you at the store and not say sorry, or
Right.
they have their face in the phone. So it's not that they're mean or anything. It's just it's a totally different mindset.
That's an excellent point. I actually hadn't even really thought about that. That generational, you take someone who's a boomer, probably less interested in that, if you will. They're
Right.
more interested in hard assets and things of that nature. Where, yeah, you're right. You have someone who's young, and they're like, it's funny. We kind of joke around. With our kids, right? We say they were born with technology.
Right,
It's
right.
like they know the technology better than we do, right? So
Yes.
that generational thing actually makes sense. Now, I think I know the answer to this, but would you encourage someone today or discourage them from getting crypto?
I would absolutely encourage them. I believe right now, with the way that the world is going, and I'm not just talking about our country. I love our country.
Yes, sir.
I love the fact that we're free, and that we have the right to choose. But I believe right now, because of all the spending that the government's been doing and all of the different things that are taking place, inflation and all that, it's all really setting up for a serious shift in our financial system. And I believe that we're about to see generational wealth like has never been seen before. That's never been an opportunity afforded to it. And I think if you're set up right and you do your investments right, you have the opportunity to literally change not just your life, but your family's life. So I would absolutely consider investing. Now, of course, I'm not a financial advisor.
Yeah.
And of course, this is just strictly my perspective, but I would absolutely do it.
You definitely encourage people. That's right.
Absolutely.
Explain to us a little bit what a crypto wallet is.
A crypto wallet.
By the way,
Okay.
you helped me a lot with that when I first started talking about crypto, and you were
Right.
like, you asked me, "Do you have a wallet?" And I was like, "No." I was like, "Explain that to me."
Well,
Yeah.
it's referred to as basically, and you hear it all the time, especially by influencers on YouTube. If your keys, your crypto, and so a wallet is basically a way for you to store your crypto, just like you would take your wallet out of your back pocket. You put your money and your credit cards in there. You want a crypto wallet to store your crypto, and so you have different kinds of wallets. The cold ones are offline, and then you have online wallets. The cold ones, basically, you get a seed phrase that only you have, and if you even were to lose, or if that wallet that was to be tampered or damaged, you just retake that seed phrase that you were given, and then you buy another one, and then you transfer that to there, and it links back up again, and you have because it's on the blockchain.
Yeah.
And so cold wallets, or a wallet, is just a place for you to store your crypto. Once you leave it on the exchange, most people don't know this, but if you leave it on the exchange, what you have is everybody has the same crypto wallet address, but what's different is a memo ID. The memo ID identifies me, the individual, me, Mike Robinson. That's my section of the wallet on the exchange.
That pertains to you only.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. Good. And how has society, if we could even go as far as saying benefited, how has society benefited from crypto?
Well,
the last few years.
when you look at the current events,
Yeah.
and you see a lot of people, considering different ways of payment. Crypto helps a lot. And even when it comes to being able to track nefarious things, I believe that they were, kind of floating the idea out there that, if you use crypto, then people can't see what you're doing. Well, that's the exact opposite. And so it was almost like they were encouraging, people doing nefarious things to use crypto because that's how they were found out. And so I believe it's helped society in many different ways. You got your contactless, form of payment. You've been able to track things that were going on nefariously, where you can literally catch people in the act of doing things that they're not supposed to be doing. As a matter of fact, I know in the area where I'm from, a lady actually used Bitcoin to hire somebody to pay to murder her husband, and that's how they were able to find out that she did that.
It was trackable,
Absolutely.
and they went. And this is that's crazy.
Yes, sir.
Didn't know that. Was that pretty recent?
That
or?
was probably within the last year.
Oh wow.
Yes.
So that's a good point because I've actually not really thought about that. People kind of get the sense or idea again. They might have heard it on the media or something that it's something sort of secretive and blah blah all that. And you're like, no, it's really actually trackable.
Very.
And so in a way, it can make it to where like this lady who was trying to get her husband killed got caught because of that. So that in a way that was a very good thing for the husband. I'm sure he's thankful.
I'm sure he is.
Now, this is actually a pretty recent stat, but in 2020, the NFT market, and we talked about NFTs already, you explained it, it hit 100 million. And in 21, so just last year, it exploded from 100 million to $24 billion. Why the increase? Because I mean, 100 million is a lot, but it didn't go from 100 million to a billion. It went to 24 billion in a matter of 12 months.
Yeah.
Why do you think that increase?
I believe it's because people they feel more like the rights to what they have. They actually get to have those rights. I was just reading something today about where a famous artist literally took his music off of Spotify and put it into the NFT market because he wanted to he said basically, Spotify's not paying me enough. And so now that it's turned, NFTs, and he's actually going now into the metaverse, you get more royalties. You get to decide who gets that and who you're sharing that with. And
for someone who's very new, do you think there's an end to that, or do you think that'll continue to grow? I mean, because it's based on value that is given by someone.
Correct. And it is based on that value. It's like anything. It's based on the value that people have given it.
Yeah.
But I believe the market is in its infant stages. But I do believe that regulations are what's going to not slow the growth, but it's going to more or less control those things. I believe there's still a lot of room.
Yeah.
I believe that it's going to continue going and growing. I believe if you start looking at different assets and what people's different ideas are, they want to affect change in the world and not just in a small sector. So.
Yeah.
I believe that it's going to continue to grow, but I believe that regulation is what's going to allow it to stabilize.
When you say regulations, you mean from like government regulations?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So currently there is very little, if any, government regulations, right? Are you saying that countries will enact some sort of regulation at some point?
Well, the United States has the largest economy in the world at this time. And so they're kind of the slowest mover, but they're the most cautious. Other countries have already decided what cryptocurrency, digital assets already are. Yeah. And so I believe that, once that regulation finally comes in, and I believe that that's really what the Ripple case is. It's just about regulation. It's about making sure that all the checks and balances are in place. Of course, people are upset. Do I believe that there's some things that need to be looked into? Absolutely. Yeah. Are there things that maybe might have been done in a very nefarious kind of a way? Possibly. Yeah. But at the end of the day, I believe that once we get regulation, I believe that the market itself will continue to grow and go up, but eventually it will level out.
Do you think that speaking about the Ripple lawsuit, do you think that's going to end anytime soon?
Yeah, I do. They're saying as early as May it could end. It could be dragged out as late as September, but the lawsuit,
this year?
Yes, yeah. But the lawsuit is going to end. It has to. It can't go on forever.
Sure, at some point, right?
But the thing is knowing what you hold and basing your decisions. There's two types of investors. There's the emotional investor and there's the investor of principle. And, I personally, I'm a long-term holder.
Yeah.
I will hold on.
And if you don't mind speaking to that, because there is a lot of people who will say, you know what, I bought some maybe they bought some SHIB, right? Some Shiba Inu. Right. I bought some Doge, And then after about a month or two or a few weeks or days, I pulled it out. I kind of talk to us about that investor. You just mentioned that perhaps more of an emotional investor versus someone who's long term. And why be the long term investor?
Well, you got to know what you hold. You have to know what you have.
Yeah.
People get caught up on the hype, and there's an emotional. Everybody's looking for the get rich quick. How can I get my money and get it now? Anything worth having is worth holding on to,
Yeah.
and knowing what you have helps you hold on even through the volatile times.
Yeah.
Crypto's a very volatile market, and it's not meant for the faint of heart, and it's not meant for those who just want to get a quick buck.
Yeah.
My philosophy, and I've just learned this watching others, is I will stack my pennies against their dollars. I will literally watch what the ones that have the big bucks are doing, and I will copy that. I will take my little and stack it next to their much.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, there's a principle. There's a reason why they're doing what they're doing.
Yeah. Can you give us at least one resource for the listeners and the audience if they want to get more information on crypto beyond our episode, of course, if they want to, something that perhaps helped you out, again, it could be a website or a resource or.
I watched, before I invested, we watched a lot of influencers on YouTube that had done some deep diving. And I'm not just talking about, emotional, riding the wave and the hype of what's going on around you. I mean, they're pulling out PDF files from everything from banks to the World Economic Forum to going back into history and talking about the petrodollar and, us coming off of the gold standard to, there was a lot of research that was done.
Yeah.
And so, I listened to guys like the Digital Asset Investor, Digital Perspectives, the Bearable Bull.
These are all on YouTube, right?
All on YouTube. Coach
Awesome.
JV.
I'm on board with Coach AV as well.
Yeah, he's and it's just like anything. You take what you want and you leave the rest.
Absolutely. You got to do your own research.
Absolutely, yeah. and that's key. And a lot of these guys, they do some serious research. They do.
I've seen that some
daily
deep
yes,
dives.
deep, and you're just like, man, and then you go look it up, and you're like, it's been sitting there the whole time.
Yeah.
So yeah,
and it's you're right. There's a certain level of interest you have to have, of course, with anything, right? And then I think the interest starts, and then you become a little bit more passionate about it, and you go from a guy that just kind of holds a little bit. And you're like, okay, this is a real legitimate thing. I gotta look into it myself to kind of. Just like anything in life, right? You want to ask the right questions, and you don't just want to blindly follow a guy because you saw him on YouTube.
Exactly.
You still want to make sure that what he's saying is you can sort of filter stuff out and vouch for it. One last question for you. I think the country of El Salvador is the only country who has adopted cryptocurrency as a form of payment currency
Bitcoin,
for the entire
actually.
Or Bitcoin.
Right.
Bitcoin
Right.
specifically. As a form of payment or currency, right, for their country. Do you think that other countries will follow suit?
I think other countries will follow suit when it comes to using digital assets and using cryptocurrency as a form of payment. I think that what some of them, central banks are using it right now. There's different platforms that they're building their central bank digital currencies off of at this moment. So if central banks are going to use it, and they're already talking about using it, and they're already saying that we're building it off of these different platforms, then obviously other countries.
It's just a matter of time.
Right. And other countries are coming out with their own central bank digital currencies as we speak.
Cryptocurrency is not going anywhere anytime soon.
I really don't believe so.
Right.
I really don't.
Well, hey, thank you guys. That's pretty much our episode. Brother Mike, thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you.
I hope you were helped today. If you have any questions, maybe you can leave a comment or something, and we'll check that out. But the goal was to get, again, someone who was at a 0 level information, maybe bump them up to a 2 or 3 or 4. And if you're already someone who, kind of like a Coach JV level, then hopefully you still enjoy the episode.
Absolutely.
You guys have a great day, and we'll see you next time.